today we're doing lesson 2.16, compare and order fractions. So we've already done the math warm-up and we've done the activity comparing fractions, the game. Now we are on page 105, fractions in order. Put each set of fractions in order from least to greatest. Be prepared to explain your reasoning. Underline right now the words least to greatest, because sometimes the instructions say greatest to least, so you have to pay very close attention. Now, I have this key. This is how I use it. This isn't in the book. This is something that I came up all with on my own because it makes sense to me. So, when a fraction is less than, I put a little minus sign above it. Evan, focus. When a fraction equals half, Macy, I put an equal sign above it. When a fraction's greater than 1/2, I put a little plus sign above it. And when it's greater than 1/2, I put 2 plus signs. So when you have 4 fractions, Cameron, eyes up here, and you're trying to figure out how to, or put them in order from least to greatest, it's a lot of steps. We have learned how to compare fractions by comparing to 1/2 or 1/2, what you guys were just doing, cross multiplying, or finding a common denominator. Colton, stay focused. Okay, so we have 4 fractions here: 3/12, 2/4, 2/3, and 1/8. On the first one, 3 out of 12, what is half of 12? 6. So if you have 3 out of 12, that would be what?
1.
Less than half. Less than half. So what should we put above it? Minus sign. Not looking for equivalence here. I'm just looking to code each one of them. Okay. On the next one, what's half of 4? 2. So this fraction would be equal. So it needs an equal sign above it. Do that now. Okay. Then we've got 2/3. What is half of 3? Todd?
1
And half. Yes, good, Todd. 1.5 is half of 3. So if you've got 2, you've got greater than half. So we're going to put a plus sign above it. Okay? Are you doing it?
Yep.
Pick up your pencil, Devin. Okay. And on the last one, you've got 1 out of 8. What's half of 8? 4. So this fraction would be less than half. So it needs a little minus sign above it. Now, just like here, I have a fraction, or one fraction that equals half, one that is more than half, and 2 that are less than half. So Evan, what's my biggest fraction out of those 4?
2/3.
Yes, because that's the only one that's more than half. So everybody, since it wants us to put greatest last, I want you to put 2/3 at the farthest end. 2/3 underneath 1/8. Now we're done with 2/3. What's the next biggest fraction? Ari?
2/4.
2/4, because that one is equal to half. And then I've got 2 that are less than half. How can I figure out which is bigger? Avis? Cross multiplying. So I want you guys to come over here and write down 3/12 and 1/8. And then we're going to cross 12 times 1
Is 12.
and 8 times 3
Is 24.
24. 24 is bigger than 12. So that means 3/12 is bigger than 1/8. So my smallest fraction out of that list is what? Zerelda?
12.
No. The smallest one is the one that's got the mouth away from it, okay? So 1/8 is the smallest. The one that is the next smallest is 3/12.
That's what I said.
I asked which was the smallest,
I
and you
did.
said 12. It's not the smallest. Okay, you just got mixed up on what I was asking.
The one with the top, that was
Oh, I see. Okay, so I'll give you the point. I see what you're saying. But next time when I ask for which fraction's the smallest, make sure you're listing actually the fraction, not the number on top of it. Okay? All right. I know. All right. So now don't worry about that. Go ahead and finish filling that in. Make sure you guys have all 4 of those fractions and your symbols. Right here, Todd, you need to add this symbol, less than.
Got it.
Okay, then you're gonna finish this page, 105. Yep. So, go that way. Okay. All right, come on. All right, come on. No. So go that way. Zarella, grab your binder on your way, okay? All right, here we go. Next one. We have, nope, not that page. I've already put, that's for tomorrow, honey. Put that one back. Okay, we have 8/5, 5/6, 11/12, and 11/10. I'm gonna say a fraction, and I want you guys to say either less than half, equal to half, greater than half, or greater than 1 whole. Okay? So, 8/5.
Greater than 1 whole.
So what does it need above it?
2 pluses.
Very good. You guys getting that? Okay. 5/6.
Greater than half.
Greater than half, right? Because 3 is half of 6. So it would need what?
1 plus sign.
Yep. Okay. What is 11/12?
Greater than half.
Greater than half. Very good. You guys are rocking and rolling. And then 11/10.
Greater than whole.
Greater than 1 whole. Bigger numbers on top, so double plus signs. So now we've got 2 fractions greater than a whole and 2 fractions that are greater than half, but less than a whole. Evan, you with me? Okay. So now we got to sort using cross multiply to see which goes in first and second and which goes in third and fourth. You with me? Right now I know these 2 are going to be in first and second place, right? Because they're the ones that are bigger than half, Athena, but less than a whole. Okay? And then these 2 are going to be in third and fourth place. But I don't know which goes where. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to cross multiply, right? 5/6 and 11/12. And 6 times 11 is what?
66.
66. So above 11, write 66. And then 5 times 12 is what?
60.
60. So above the 5, write the 60. Now, 60 is less than 66. So 5/6 is less than 11/12. So out of our 2 smallest, out of our 2 smaller fractions, which is the smallest? Mary?
5/6.
Yes. So now we can fill in 5/6 is our smallest, or least, then 11/12. So we've got the first 2 done. You got that written down? Stay with me, Deb. Okay, and then to see what goes in third and fourth place, I need to cross multiply the 2 fractions that are bigger than 1 whole. So that's going to be 8/5 and 11/10. Hang on a minute. Instead of cross multiplying, well, let's go ahead and cross multiply for this one. 5 times 11.
55.
55 and 10 times 8.
80.
80. 80 is bigger than 55. So 8/5 is bigger than 11/10. So that means in our biggest spot needs to be what?
8/5.
8/5. And then in our third place spot, 11/10. So now we can plug in the less than symbols and we got them. Okay? And you guys are gonna have to do this on your own on the test, okay? But I'm gonna make a anchor chart that has the key on it, so you'll be able to refer to that to kind of help you sort through them, okay? All right. This one I think is the toughest one, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to do this one in different colors so it stands out. Okay. 21/20ths. Greater than a whole. Yes, Jackson. So double plus signs, right? Okay. 9/10. Greater than 1/2. So just a single plus sign. 6/5.
Greater than 1 whole.
Greater than 1 whole, so double plus. And then 100/100.
Greater than 1 whole.
Greater than 1 whole. Okay, so we have 3 fractions that are bigger than 1 whole, right? So what is our smallest fraction out of those? Jackson? 9/10, because it's the only one with that's just bigger than half, but less than a whole. So we're gonna write 9/10 in the first spot. Now, in order to compare 3 fractions using cross multiplying, it's tough because you have to compare, think of it like this. Comparing fraction A, B, and C. You gotta compare fraction A and B, and then you gotta compare fraction A and C. But you also have to compare B and C. So it's a lot. So I have something else that we can do. Look at those denominators. We have 21/20. We have 6/5. And 101/100.
They're all 1 over. Oh yeah, that's true.
They are. So that's a really good point because the bigger the number, the smaller the pieces. So if they're just 1 over, that's a little tiny piece, and that's a small piece, and that's a bigger piece. So we could do that. But there's one other strategy that we can use, common denominator. So look at 25 and 100. Think about multiples.
Multiples of each other.
They are, so 20 and 5 are both factors of 100, right? If you're skip counting by 20, 40, 60, 80, 100.
And if you do 5s, you can reach 20 and 100.
Exactly. So what we're gonna do, Evan, are you tired today? You are not your spunky self. What we're gonna do is turn all of these fractions into new ones with a denominator of 100. And then they're easy to compare, right? Okay, so so on 21/20, what do you multiply 20 times to get 100?
5.
And if you do it to the bottom?
You do it to the top.
So if 20 groups of 5 is 100, what would 21 groups of 5 be,
105.
Athena?
105.
105, yep. Put yourself down for a point. Are you getting on to him?
Oh yeah.
All right. He's like, stop blurting. Okay, so now we've got 2 fractions that have 100 on the bottom. Now we got to fix this guy. So 6/5, what do you multiply 5 times, don't blurt, to get 100? Mary. So look here, Mary, what do we got right here? What are these? 20. Yep. And if you do it to the bottom?
You do it to the top.
So 6 times 20. We can do 6 times 2, which is 12, and add on a
I was gonna say 120.
Okay, so you guys see now 100, 100, 100. Which is the smallest of those 3 numerators, Evan?
The one on the top.
What number is it?
101.
Yes, and you even said it right. 101 hundredths. So we're going to write that down here. 101 hundredths. Then what is the next smallest one? Harbor.
105.
Say it right. 105. Yes, 105 hundredths. Hold on though. We cannot write down 105 hundredths because is the book going to know what we're talking about?
No.
That fraction's not up there. So we have to write down our 21 twentieths. You with me? 21 over 20 is next. And then the biggest one is Ari.
120. 100.
And you'll say it as hundredths. 120 hundredths, which is actually, there you go, girl. Yes. So now we're going to plug that in, and we're going to plug in our less than symbols all the way across. And I am going to have you guys write down 21 over 20 multiplied times 5 on top and bottom gives you 105 hundredths. And then 6/5 times 20 over 20 gives you 120 hundredths. So that way you can see what we did. If you refer back to it, you can see that we found a common denominator. Did you get all that written? Devin, I'm having to write and remind you way too much today to write down what I'm saying. Okay. The last one. We've got 5/8, 2/5, 3/7, and 3/6. So what about 5/8? Shout it out.
Less than half.
No,
what, more than
greater
half?
than half.
Greater than half. Half of 8 is 4, and 5 is bigger than 4. So greater than half. So it needs a single plus sign. Okay? What about 2 out of 5? Shout it out.
Less than half.
Less than half. So it gets a minus sign. What about 3/7? Jackson. Less than half, yes. And what about 3/6? Evan?
Greater than whole? No, less than.
3 out of 6. What's half of 6?
I mean,
Let them think, guys. Put your hands down. What's half of 6?
3.
3. And you have
Wait, equal?
equal to half. Make sense? Okay. All right. Now we can start putting them in their proper places. So I have 2 fractions less than half, 1 equal, and 1 greater. Devin, what's the biggest fraction that I have in that list?
3/7?
No. Look at the signs on top. This one's greater than half. This one's less than half, equal to half.
5/8?
Does that make sense? Yes. 5/8 is going to be your biggest one. It's the only one that's bigger than half. Macy? Okay. What's the next biggest fraction? Devin?
3/6.
No, honey. Use these symbols to help you. Okay? So this one's greater than half. I'll give you one more shot.
3/6.
3/6. Do you understand why, Devin? Because that one's equal to half. Now, how do we know which goes next? Colton?
3/7.
No?
No,
You gotta
3/5.
how my question was, how do you know what goes next?
2/5 because half of five is
Both of these fractions are less than half. So you gotta do something to figure out.
cross multiply.
You have to cross multiply. When you get symbols that are the same, you're gonna have to do something to figure out which goes where. Okay? You gotta do some work. So we're gonna do 2/5 and 3/7. We're gonna cross multiply. 5 times 3 is what? 15. And 7 times 2 is 14. 14 is less than 15. So 2/5 is less than 3/7. So that means our smallest fraction up here is what?
2/5.
2/5, and then 3/7, and then 3/6, and then 5/8. So the only extra thing I want you to write down over here is the cross multiplying we did. And that helped us figure out who was in first place and second place. Before I shut off the video, I wanted to show you, I made this illustration to kind of show you a little bit more of visual that goes with fractions, okay? So, I have 4 glasses of grape juice, let's say. And this one is 6/8 full. This one's 8/10 full. This is 1/12 full, and this is 3/6 full. If I tell you to put them in order from least to greatest, which goes first? Mary? 1/12. That's the least amount of juice, right? Okay. And what would be next? Emma? 3/6, because that's half full, right? So this one's less than half, equal to half. These are both greater than half. Now, it looks like I can tell which goes next and then last, but sometimes when they get that close, it's hard to tell. So what should we do to figure out what goes here and what goes here? Jackson? Cross multiply. So we're going to do 6/8 and 8/10. 8 times 8?
64.
64. 10 times 6? 60. Whoops, not 65, 64. And 60 is less than 64. So 8/10 is the biggest. So my next biggest would be
6/8.
6/8. And then the biggest we know is 8/10. So 1/12 is less than 3/6, and 3/6 is less than 6/8, and 6/8 is less than 8/10. So that's just one more visual. All right.